I've spent a lot of time trying to figure out exactly what the Abysmal Remnant is, and whether or not it was inspired by any specific monster or character from the broader Conan universe. For a long time I was convinced that the Remnant was one of the worms of the earth, from the Robert E. Howard short story with the same name, but after rereading this story it seems that I was way off. So what is the Abysmal Remnant? For the benefit of new players, the Abysmal Remnant is a boss creature located in the Dregs. The Dregs are the sewer system of the unnamed city, and are also a dungeon you can enter. You can find it by traveling west along the bottom of the map until you find a Darfari camp. It's hard to miss. A lore stone in the entrance gives a bit of lore surrounding the dungeon, and addressing an unknown slave, states that said slave has been chosen to maintain the sewers, and to sweep away the debris and creatures which gather in the foul-smelling darkness. The speaker also cautions the slave to be wary, as strange things grow in the gloom of those tunnels. Now, I assume that the sewers have since been sealed for some reason, as to gain entrance a human sacrifice is required. Either that, or maintenance days at the Dregs must have started with one hell of a match of Rochambeau between the chosen slaves. Regardless, opening the Dregs is fairly easy. Simply aggro an NPC from the Darfari camp outside, and lure them onto the circular platform before killing them. The dungeon itself shouldn't be too much of a challenge, as it is fairly linear and most of the enemies can be avoided. Located throughout the dungeon, you may find pages from a journal. Put together, these read as follows. The Darfari horde chased us into an old ruin. It was a dead end. I thought it was over. Dear Samat stepped forth bravely to hold the entrance, but the leader of the Darfari, a wild brute with mud and twigs in his hair, cut him down. I was preparing to make my final stand when the very ground in the chamber began to rumble. The walls shook and the earth moved. The savages fled, wailing, through the passageway as ground beneath them began to rise. It was a staircase. This was the entrance we had been searching for. Quickly I stepped over Samat's corpse, just long enough to close his eyes and grab his gear. Then I headed down the staircase into the darkness. As my eyes adjusted, I came into a large cavern. What a sight! The floor is covered in ankle-deep water, and ghost fire burns above deeper pools. Their murky depths are hard to fathom. Phosphorescent growths cling to the water's edge, and in their dim glow, large creatures are moving in the water. I must be cautious. If the treasure is truly down here, I will need to stay alive in order to find it. At first I thought I had come to a dead end, and that my quest for the treasure would be over. But then I noticed the stone mechanism set high into the walls along the corridors. They were built for a taller race than ours. Who knows what primordial race once stalked these corridors? But they can be activated from below with a thrown object or an arrow. There is something else. A voice. It speaks to me, and it is probably nothing. The strain of a long quest in search of my ancestors' treasure. The path forward grows less clear, and yet with every chamber that I conquer, my certainty grows. This is the place where my ancestor, the legendary Zapayo da Cordava, came in search of his ultimate dream. The voice in my mind whispers to me of the treasure that awaits me. She praises my strength and conviction. She tells me where to go and how to navigate this maze of confusing chambers. This is the path. Soon I will have both the secrets of my ancestors, and I will meet this mysterious lady who speaks in my mind. This is it. I can feel her presence just ahead of me. It is time to meet my love, and recover the precious journal of Zapayo da Cordava. If my father is correct, it contains the last recipe that he wrote down before he went missing, designed based upon his adventures in the Black Kingdoms to the south. But this is secondary to meeting my love. She awaits me just ahead, and her sweet voice sings in my mind. She is beautiful. I will take her back with me to Singara and make her my wife. All else is secondary, including the journal of my ancestor. She is telling me to put down my weapons and possessions. Why not? I have nothing to fear from such a gentle spirit. This is about as much information as the game gives us about the Dregs and the Abysmal Remnant. As an interesting side note, the character mentioned in the journals, the legendary Zapayo da Cordava, may be more than just a passing reference. A quick search of the entire name does not provide much insight. However, Cordava is the name of the port city capital of Zingara. There also exists in the book Conan the Berserker by Robert E. Howard a character named Zapayo Dakova, who is a Zingaran adventurer, prince, and mercenary admiral. It may be that this character reference in the journal is a nod to the mercenary prince, or he could just be some other legendary adventurer from Cordava that nobody's ever heard about. With no other information on the remnant itself, I turned to Twitter and sent a message to Joel Bylos, creative director at Funcom in Oslo, and he replied with the following information. Once, the Priest King made a pact with a demon from the outer void to inhabit some formed flesh he was crafting. This was to be a weapon used in the war against the human city to the north. The experiment failed. The creature was born limbless, and the experiment was abandoned. An acolyte of the Priest King tossed it into the sewer system to drown in the dregs. But the creature did not die, and the demon was not freed. It found a pool where it could excrete the acid that it needed to survive, and then it reached out with its mind, looking for food. Over time it grew, and the rats and other vermin in the sewers were no longer enough to sustain it. And that is the Abysmal Remnant, the result of a failed demon-powered experimental weapon abandoned in the sewers of the unnamed city. When it got too large to live off small vermin in the sewers, it turned its gaze to larger prey. That's about everything I could dig up on the Abysmal Remnant and the Dregs. If you have any more insights, I would like to hear them in the comments section. Or if there's something specific you'd like to see a video about, I'd love to hear it.